Hello Stampers, welcome to another episode of Card Play. I watched a great video by Melanie Schulenberg that totally inspired me to do this scissor cut card. I love this silhouette look and hopefully you'll see how easy it is and enjoy doing it as well. To make this card, the first thing that we're going to need is our Elements of Style stamp set, and we're going to use this great hummingbird image in order to do this scissor cut look. We're also going to need a scrap piece of basic black cardstock, and I'm going to use the embossing buddy since we are going to do some embossing. So I just want to take any static off of this piece of basic black paper. I'm going to take the Versamark stamp pad and ink up this hummingbird and just stamp this hummingbird anywhere on this piece of paper. Don't worry, we're actually going to cut the hummingbird out, so you don't need to be precise in where you stamp it. It's kind of hard to see that image right now in Versamark. However, we're going to take some clear embossing powder and we're going to clear emboss this bird. Now it's very simple to see. Tap that off and let's grab our heat tool to emboss the bird. And we're going to quickly heat that up. Now it's kind of easy to see. We're going to take our paper snips and we're going to cut this bird out. And you want to try to cut as close to the edge as you can to get a really precise image. So you're going to move your paper as opposed to your paper snips themselves to try to cut out and get this really nice precise image. And we're going to cut this entire image out, including the feathers. Now we have our entire hummingbird image cut out. You don't have to worry about this embossed side because we're actually going to use this back side. You'll notice on the card that I also have these leaves and these flowers. This is going to be a bit easier than the bird because we're not going to do any cutting at all. We're actually going to take a couple of our sizzlit dies. This one is the Sizzlit's Little Leaves. And we're also going to use this Sizzlits die. This one is the Birds and Blooms flower pieces. It's a 4-set die, and we're going to use this small flower. All I did was run some basic black cardstock through the Big Shot and created these black cutouts. So I have 2 of the leaves and I did 3 of the little birds, and those are all the pieces that we're going to need to put this card together. Next, you're going to need a piece of very vanilla cardstock. We're going to use a piece that is 3 inches by 3 1/4 inches. We're going to set that down. You're also going to need a piece of basic black cardstock. This one is 3 1/4 inches by 3 1/2 inches. That's going to be our layer. And we want to kind of set up our hummingbird and our leaves in a way that we think might be pretty. And you'll notice I'm going right off of the edge, and that's fine. And I think here I'm just going to use these 3 leaves, so I'm going to just tear those away and save the others for another project at a later date. I like using our Anywhere glue stick for these small paper cuts. It makes it nice and easy. We're just going to turn our bird over, and on this embossed side we're just going to go ahead and put some glue on him. It makes me feel like I'm back in kindergarten playing with my glue stick. And we're just going to place that hummingbird down on the page. And don't worry, if you get a little bit of glue outside your edges here, don't worry about that because you can use your adhesive remover to get that glue off if you need to. We're going to do the same to the leaves. And for this area where I've gone off the edge, all I'm going to do, partly because now this is a little bit gluey, I'm going to take my Craft & Rubber scissors, which I use for anything that has glue on it, and we're just going to snip away those little extra silhouette edges. And now, because this has gotten gluey and I don't want to glue up my entire project, I'm going to move these flowers aside, and I'm actually just going to fold this piece of paper to get the glue out of our way. To adhere these 3 flowers to the card, what I'm going to do is actually use some dimensionals. And you've seen me do this tip before. I actually like to take my craft and rubber scissors and cut my dimensionals. We're just going to need very small pieces to actually go ahead and put these onto the card. So we're going to use these small pieces and just pop these flowers where you'd like them onto the card. I like one here just so it looks like that's the one that the hummingbird is going after. And once again, take our craft and rubber scissors and just snip that little overhanging edge. Great. Now we just have to layer this card together. So we're going to take this piece of black cardstock. Again, this is 3 1/4 inches by 3 1/2 inches. I'm going to use my large tape gun for the interest of time in the video, and just go ahead and place some adhesive on there and layer that hummingbird right in the center. We're going to use a standard, very vanilla piece of cardstock. So this piece of cardstock is 5 1/2 inches by 8 1/2 inches, and I went ahead and just scored it in the middle and folded it. And before we adhere our scissor cut image to this card, we're going to go ahead and put the greeting on this card. I made this a thank you card. This is the Thank You Kindly stamp set, and I really love the flourish script on this stamp. We want to try to figure out exactly where we want that thank you to be. So I think somewhere around here is going to be good. What I did, we're going to use our Stamp-A-Majig. I already went ahead and stamped the stamp into the corner of the Stamp-A-Majig. And we're just going to find exactly where we'd like that greeting to go. And I'm just going to remove this so that the Stamp-A-Majig can actually sit flat. We're going to come in here with our Stamp-A-Majig right into that corner. And we're going to use basic black classic ink to stamp this greeting. So we're going to move the imaging sheet away and ink up our stamp. And we're going to stamp once. The beautiful thing about the Stamp-A-Majig, I would love this a little bit darker, crisper black. So I'm going to re-ink and I'm going to stamp right down exactly where I stamped before, and look at how beautiful and crisp that image is. And now we're ready to go ahead and adhere our lovely scissor cut image. Just going to put some double-sided adhesive on the back of this. And you could do this centered. I like it a little bit off-center. I think that adds a little interest to the card. And you're just going to adhere it down. And there you have it. A lovely scissor cut look for a lot less work. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of Card Play, and I look forward to seeing you again here in the craft room.